Ladies and gentlemen, when you go and apply for jobs, in many cases, they know you're qualified, but they need to find a way to rule you out because they don't want Black people in certain positions. I've experienced that actually. And they'll take a less qualified white person because of racism and no other reason. This story is a good example of that. And many of you, I'm sure you have experienced that. I had a friend that was assistant bank manager, and they would never promote her. She was there 10 years and she was training all of these managers, and the bank managers would never stay. But whenever she wanted the job, they wouldn't give it to her. But they kept bringing in all these white bank managers and they would just stay a few months and then leave. And then she would start all over training another and then another and then another. But eventually she got the picture and she left. So these things happen all the time. We know, especially if you're from a Black family, even your own people in your family, these sort of things have happened to. This is how widespread it is in America. So this came out in AJC, Georgia mayor under fire for alleged remarks about Black job candidate. They just don't want us. It's not that you're not qualified. And the college scandal should really pull the band-aid off of that too. If these folks were so qualified and smart and knew it all, they wouldn't be caught up in anything called a college admission scandal. You would have the brains and the know-how to get in there on your own merit. Obviously, that's not the case. The mayor of Hodgson, a nearly all white community 50 miles southeast of Atlanta, allegedly withheld a job candidate from consideration for city administrator because he was Black. And AJC investigation has found, according to documents obtained by the Atlanta Journal Constitution and interviews with city official Mayor Teresa Kennelly told a member of the city council she pulled the resume of Kenneth Henry from a packet of 4 finalists because he is Black. And the city isn't ready for this. This is 20 freaking 19. You have been around Black people for 500 years and your ass still ain't ready for Woo, y'all, this is very clear. It ain't us. It ain't us. They like to put a lot of things on us, but it is very obvious it's not us. The AJC's investigation into the controversy revealed not only a deeply flawed hiring process, but also hard racial attitudes inside Hodgkin's government. So it's not that you are unqualified, it's they're unwilling to hire someone Black. There's a huge difference. All of this occurs as the city of fewer than 2,000 people just outside Gwinnett County is poised for dramatic growth with the construction of thousands of new homes. Initially, Kennerly would not answer questions about her reported comments, saying she could not publicly talk about matters that occurred in executive succession, even though the law does not forbid that. I can say, I said or not said it, she said. So she's just playing word salad games. Okay. You can best believe she said it. You can just tell by the kind of statements that are coming from this mayor. Later, Kennelly issued a statement disputing accounts from other city officials. So, the people around her ratted her butt out. I do not recall making the statement. She said it, y'all. Okay, that's an admission as far as I'm concerned. I do not recall making the statement attributed to me regarding my applicant for the city administrator position, and I deny that I made any statement that suggests prejudice. She said. She said it, y'all. Whenever you hear this, I don't recall, I don't remember, I don't this, I don't that, she's jumbling up the word salad because she really did say it. Okay, see it for what it is. I'm never fooled when they come out with statements like this. When they come out with statements like this, they're guilty. The candidate, Keith Henry, said he was interviewed by Kennerly over the phone and did not detect bias on the part of the mayor. But as a Black man applying for executive government position in small Southern towns, he said he is not shocked if there was. So she detected he was a Black man by the sound of his voice on the phone. It comes with the territory, he said. If you live in America as a minority, you can't be naive that it is the reality that you face. Racial discrimination in hiring has been against federal law since the passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. But that doesn't stop people from doing it, ladies and gentlemen. Just like housing discrimination is still rampant in America, so is all of these discriminations in hiring practices. And you have to also look at who is sitting in these director positions, management positions, supervisors, and so on and so forth in this country. And that's how you can also see it is still heavily practiced. These people are not more capable than us. They just play all of these discriminatory games to make sure they get all of the highest positions and you get the bottom feeder positions. Okay. America and these folks all around the globe, they run the entire country like a plantation. They still have that plantation mentality. That's why they do these things. Everything is ran like the plantation. Just look at who's the CEO, who's the executive director, who's the directors, who's the managers. Look at how it looks on top. Usually it's very white on top, and then everybody else is on the bottom. They run everything like a plantation. Always have, always will. Okay, so private and public entities, including Hodgkin's, universally post or have enacted strong employment anti-discrimination statements. That doesn't mean anything. You can post all of the statements and federal laws you want. You're not going to change the racism within a person when it comes down to hiring practices or anything in this country. Hoxton City Code reads, there shall be no discrimination exercised because of race, national origin, color, religion, creed, age, sex. All personnel actions shall be based solely on individual merit and fitness. But yet you got a mayor sitting in office saying she's not going to hire someone because they're a Black man, despite the fact that you got all of these codes and federal laws and everything else in place. So you can see none of that stuff matters if a person is a racist sitting as a mayor or anything else in this country in a position where they can decide who to hire and who to fire. The mayor reportedly made her comments to a member of the council in an overhead whisper during a closed door session of the council March 4th. Councilwoman Hope Weeks said she repeated them to her in the parking lot after the meeting, according to a document released by the city in response to an open records request from the AJC. So she got ratted out. She repeated this over and over to this woman named Hope Weeks, and she ratted her butt out. She proceeded to tell me that the candidate was real good, but he was black. See, ladies and gentlemen, but they'll sit in your face and tell you affirmative action and you're not qualified and you're not as good as this white candidate. Get out of here with that crap. All of that is fakery. All of it. It always have been fake. It always will be fake. Okay. And we don't have a big black population, and she just didn't think Hodgkin was ready for that, Weeks wrote in an account dated March 4th. Weeks confided with Councilwoman Susan Powers, and both women agreed to take the matter to City Attorney Thomas Mitchell. Both of us were just appalled, so we thought we had to do something to stop it, Powell said. So two of her fellow co-workers ratted this mayor out, y'all. Mr. Henry was a very professional and qualified candidate who was a finalist for the position of city administrator before withdrawing to accept another position, she said. I am thankful for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Hodgkin, but this has been one of the most challenging seasons of my life. So these two women that are council women said he was very qualified for this position. According to a series of emails obtained by the AJC, a deal was made between Mitchell and the city's 5 elected officials to continue the hiring process that allow Kennerly to attend, but not participate in the interviews. So they are not allowing this racist mayor to make the final decision on who gets hired. That's a good thing. Y'all should take all of the hiring practices out of her hands. She is not going to speak or ask questions, Attorney Mitchell wrote. The attorney also warned city officials to stop putting their concerns in writing. I do not think it is the best interest of the city to continue emailing in this manner, he wrote in a March 14th email. Yeah, so in other words, be a racist, but don't write it down. In emails, Powell protests the mayor's continued involvement in the search for a city administrator. Since she corrupted this entire process by trying to shield the application from Mr. Henry from council members, and then making the comment to the effect that while he is qualified, he should not be considered because he is black, and the city is not ready for this. She should not be a part of this hiring process, Powell wrote. I am appalled that in 2019, an applicant would not be hired based solely on the color of their skin. Aren't these the same people trying to quote Martin Luther King to us? Yeah, right. Henry, who lives in suburban Houston, Texas, withdrew his candidacy shortly after the March 4th meeting and subsequent phone interview with council members. Okay, so he wasn't physically in Georgia. He lived in Houston, applying for this position in Georgia. He said he decided to withdraw in part because the city wanted him to pay his travel, room, and board to come for an in-person interview on the promise of reimbursement at a later date. 2 of the 3 other candidates under consideration were local and did not face such an obstacle. The third drove from the Georgia coast at his own expense. Okay. So they don't tell you the race of the other three candidates, so I'm just going to assume they must be white, because the only one they're pointing out is just a black man. Okay. So, of course, there's a council person trying to defend her and all that stuff. Um, and, you're always going to have somebody like that. He said she cried. Who cares? Look at what she did. Nobody cares about this woman's tears. That's really counterproductive and not really doing anything to make her look good in this whole thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter what laws they got in place. It doesn't matter what policies a company have. If you have a racist at the top making the decisions on who gets in and who don't, those discriminatory practices will go on anyway. And we see this anyway. When you go into a corporation and there are a couple of thousand people and the department got one black person, come on, get out of here with that mess. We see right through it. Always have, always will. But please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to go on in America until she's down to her last breath. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.